Hey guys, welcome back to the Ugly Chairs podcast. They loved us so much in December that they decided to bring back the A-Team. So welcome back, guys. And I'm super excited because today we're going to be talking about relationships.
Let's go.
Everything about relationships, friendships, dating relationships, situationships, all the crazy things.
All the ships.
Yeah.
All of them.
Even the Titanic.
Even the battleship.
Yeah, it's a great game. So to get us started, I want you guys to remind everybody of your names. And then this is a really important question, and I know neither of you know the correct answer to it. But I want to know if you are Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Oh, man.
That's a tough one, mostly because I don't know either of them very well. My name is Andrew. I'm from the Berks campus, and I'm going to go with Team Jacob because werewolves are kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Adam, and I think I'm going to go, what am I looking at? I think I'm going to go with Edward, although I haven't seen the Twilight movies. When I was in Washington, though, we went to the town.
Forks?
Yeah, Forks.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was like a thing, but there was like
name.
Twilight stuff everywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And
I've never...
there's more Edward there than Jacob.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I mean, I guess he's like kind of the main dude.
Yeah, but Jacob turns into a werewolf.
Okay.
All Edward does is just looks like himself.
He's like shiny, I think. I've never actually watched the movies.
You've never seen the
So
movie?
none of us have
No.
seen the movies, but we're having a
I've
conversation
seen
about
them.
Oh, you've seen them.
It was a long time ago, like when they first came out. But like I don't remember anything about them.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm Team Jacob, but only because, what's his face? Taylor Lautner was Shark Boy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, dude, Shark Boy.
And like really,
Great movie.
that's kind of cool. But also, Robert Pattinson was Cedric Diggory in Harry
Dude.
Potter.
And
I
Robert
never watched Harry
Pattinson,
Potter.
have you guys seen Tenet?
No.
Dude, unreal. Christopher Nolan. And he's in it, and he's so good.
Mm.
He's a British accent. Does he have a British accent as Jacob? Or as Edward?
No, but I feel like vampires should have British accents.
Honestly. Can we
Who's
drop
that?
that? Can we ask for people to put that in the comments?
Yeah.
Who's
Should
Robert
vampires
Pattinson?
have an English accent?
Robert Patterson has a British accent?
He does in Tenet. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's really good.
I liked him in Batman.
Yo, so
Robert
good.
Pattinson,
Actually
if
did a
you're
really good
watching this, let us
Shout out.
know.
Big fans.
I did get a DM from Mr. Beast, and he told me that your Christmas thing could come true.
Whoa, that feels
Whoa.
like Cap. But
Yep,
I
it
love,
is.
I love
I
that
don't
you
know
said
if we
it.
can say that.
Nope, it's true.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
We're
yeah.
me and Jimmy. We're tight.
We've arrived, dude. I can't imagine one of our
Is-
39 viewers was Mr. Beast.
Is
That's
his
awesome.
name Jimmy?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow. I'm so trendy.
He doesn't look like a Jimmy.
What does he look like?
I don't know.
A Timmy?
I don't even know. I feel like I could see him as like Jared.
No.
Yeah,
Jared, I could see any white man's name.
not
would work
Jimmy.
For that.
He's definitely not a Jared.
I could see him as Jared. Definitely not Jimmy.
Interesting. His name is Jimmy.
I don't know. He's wrong.
I don't know what it is. His last name Beast?
Jimmy Beast.
I hope not.
That'd be a dope name, though. Okay, I take it back.
So
If his
now
last
his
name's
name can be
Beast, then his
Jimmy.
name can be Jimmy.
Oh,
Jimmy
okay.
Beast. It's a cool name. Anyway, sorry.
So the reason why I asked you guys about the Team Edward or Team Jacob thing, or for you guys, is probably more like Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah, which I'm Team Conrad, just so you guys know.
I don't know. What that means.
Doesn't mean anything to you. But in TV shows, it's actually really popular for like there would be two love interests. And most of the time, it's
Right.
like the teen girl who doesn't know what she wants. So there's like option A, which is like the golden retriever boy who's like, there's no faults, great guy. Then option B is like,
bad boy kind
yeah,
of. Yeah.
like has some issues, but like that's probably more,
you can fix him.
yeah.
Yeah.
You always can.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
Wait.
saying, like the the TV show.
And Edward and Jacob fall in, like that one of them is like the,
Yeah.
the golden. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
Makes
would
sense.
say Jacob is probably like the little I've never seen the movies. I'm referring to you. Jacob is probably he's a wolf. He has to be the golden
He's, like,
retriever
more
one.
golden.
When did those movies come out?
I was in
It
like
was a long time ago.
middle school.
Yeah, me too. And that's when I watched it last. So I
Oh.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry, I derailed you. Continue.
Yeah,
You're telling us
sorry,
about
sorry.
like the options.
Yeah, so that's like a normal thing, and I think that's why like people don't have a really good understanding of like what to look for in relationships because they only see these like two spectrums of it, and most likely there's not a bunch of golden retrievers running around just Well, there literally are.
Well, kind of, but
It's a great dog. There's not a lot of people that fit into that type, and there's not a lot of people that fit into the other type. So what I want to know for you guys is like, what is one of the more important things that you feel like any relationship should be built on? Because if we're gonna like end goal get to like attributes of a person, we got to start with like just what does a good relationship need? So what would you guys say?
Dude, I feel like whether it's like friendships, relationships, dating, whatever, like I think it starts with knowing them and then learning to trust them. We did a series years ago as a church about like the RAM sliders, like how to win at relationships, and it went like in order of like first you got to know them, and once you've gotten to know them, then you can start to trust them, and there were other components too about like relying and then touch and stuff like that. But I feel like trust only comes over time. So whether it's just a friend that you're trying to get to know or someone you want to date, you need to know who they are, meet their family, like what do they enjoy doing, what's their like story, and then you start to trust them over time, and then that's like the foundation for something that like can be good.
for sure. I would totally agree. I think the big thing is trust, and I think there's like a foundation to build on that. And like you said, it's hard to like really know somebody, and then when you start to get to know them, that's when you can start to build that trust with them. And I have a practical story about this. I had a friend, and I didn't know anything about him. Like, he was very secretive about everything, and it was so hard for me to trust him. And I found out, like, he was going by the name that wasn't actually his real name, and like all kinds of stuff. And now we're like great friends because I learned everything about him. But before that, and that's like practical because before that, like it was hard for me to trust him because I'm like, I don't know anything about you. But as we started to get
he was
to know
using a
each
fake
other-
name.
Yeah, it was weird. I guess it was like a nickname. I don't know. But anyway.
I thought for a really long time, I was like, this story could be me. My name technically is Allie, and I don't tell people
true.
anything.
What's your name?
Alexandra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't
Learning
look like
stuff.
an Alexandra.
Thanks.
You look like a Jimmy. I'm just kidding.
My no slider for you, like our relationship just went higher.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
I trust you
now
more
you-
now.
Now we know
I know
you
your real
more.
name.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I don't trust people well. So, like, how do I learn how to trust people? Like, I feel like that's not an easy thing, but that was, like, the thing that you guys started with, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I feel like a lot of people can't.
I think it goes back to getting to know people first. I don't think you need to jump in and be like, oh, I trust you 100%. Well, there's some people that do that. I think it's getting to know the person well and learning things about them, getting to know them before you are putting like a lot of trust into somebody. Because I'm not just going to trust somebody that I just met, 5 minutes ago. But when I get to know them more, it's easier for me to put that trust in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about like Jesus tells a parable about how God like trusts us with stuff, and he says if you can be trusted with a little, then you'll be trusted with more like over time. And I think that can be true of like how we operate with other people too. You like just see how they handle something, like offer some about yourself, like offer something to them, be vulnerable in a moment and share something with them, see how they handle that. And then if that goes well, then you can start to trust more over time. Like rather than being like, I'm going to throw down all of my junk and like be super vulnerable with you right away, that could burn you. But if you just start little, like see if they show up on time for things, like see if they can be relied on, if they'll keep a secret for you, like those type of things. And then over time, you can start to trust them more.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say the thing that I feel like every like friendship or relationship to me needs to be built on is respect. Just because I feel like there's a lot of people that I've watched it happen to them where they thought that like they had a good relationship with a friend, and something happens and it just really comes down to like the lack of respect that they had for each other.
Yeah.
And everything just like explodes because they're like, oh, well, I always kind of hated that you had this and I didn't have this, or I never really respected the fact that like you came from a different lifestyle than me. I'm like, wow, like that's like sad.
Yeah.
Because you could be friends with someone for like 10 years, and if there was never respect there, then I don't even feel like then you can build trust.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's so true. That's like, but it's also like hard to find people sometimes who will give you the respect you deserve. It's so important.
Yeah. And like the weird thing is, I don't think that your respect when you meet someone is going to stay the same the whole time. Like you can easily lose my respect, but like like you can gain it back. And I think you can do that with trust, but like every single year of someone's life, something is going to be different, and you're going to have to change that a little bit, which I feel like is kind of the hard thing about relationships. There's ebbs and flows, so you got to figure it out.
Well, I just feel like trust is such an easy thing to lose too.
Yeah.
It's so hard to build trust with somebody, but it's so easy to take it away real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. If people don't show up on time,
Oh man,
Right.
I
like
can't stand
10 minutes late or something.
Andrew picked me up this morning. I had to ride my bike. My car is in the shop. And so I like biked to the church, and I was waiting for Andrew to pick me up, and he was 10 minutes late.
I was 10 minutes late. I told him,
Wow.
at least I texted you.
Yeah, he told me, though, so no trust lost.
He biked, and it's cold
I
outside.
know.
Yeah, my hands were like two
felt really
ice
bad.
blocks.
I felt terrible.
After biking in.
He had to thaw out.
Yeah, I was like literally just like shivering, just like waiting for him.
You like didn't go in the building.
I hope he comes soon.
Oh, he came out of the church. So I mean,
Yeah, no, I was sipping a warm cup of coffee. I was completely fine.
That's funny. Okay, so what are some examples of like a good relationship that either you're in or you've seen like embody some of these things, like getting to know people well, or trust, or respect? Like, what are those relationships that you've seen in your life?
Like doing that well?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good question.
Thanks.
I feel like one of the things is like people that I know who share the same values as I, like that makes a big difference. Like scripture talks about like fear of the Lord is the basis of like all wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you have that shared in common, like when you both fear God and want to serve him, those are often the people that I think, wow, they really like are someone I can trust, or that's someone that respects me a lot, because I do think that like following Jesus is the best way to live. And so I even think about like my family. My family does a great job of like being reliable and being someone that I can count on, and like respects me a ton. And we share a common value of following Jesus. So I would say like my parents and my brother are both good examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
could you ask the question one more time? I want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm answering correctly.
Yeah. So, like, what are some examples of relationships that you've seen embody like respect or trust or getting to know people well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of friendships in my life that I think have that, and I think the biggest reason is because one, we do have respect for each other, and I think it's because we're okay accepting each other as how we are.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of us feels like we need to be something else in order to
Yes.
have that friendship, and so they know my faults, they know the things I've done, and yet they're still my friend, and they still trust and respect me, and so I think that's a huge thing. I have a couple of relationships in my life that are that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, like getting to the point where you can trust people with those things, but that now that we're at that point, it's like they still walk beside me, even though they know like that I've messed up in my life.
Yeah. I feel like my parents are a good one. Like, I think that they trust each other with everything. But even like some of the friendships that I have, I think like we're very polar opposite people, and do very different jobs and come from really different backgrounds. And yet they still have the same respect for me, no matter what their beliefs are or my beliefs are. And I think that just like sometimes speaks a lot about the type of relationship that you've built, of no matter how different you guys are, that in the end, at the end of the day, like you're just going to come together and just be friends, because it doesn't really matter. Like if you want to spend time with each other and you like hanging out, that it is what it is. Doesn't matter like who you are at the end of the day.
Yeah, let me ask, like, what about like the other side of that? Like, if someone doesn't prove themselves to be trustworthy, or like doesn't show you respect, like, can you still be their friend? Like, should you still be their friend? Like, do you need to create distance in the relationship? Like, have you guys seen that happen? I have, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I feel like, so in college, I had like a friendship with someone, and it turned like pretty toxic pretty quick, just because like the things that I was asking on like a really basic level as like a friend, like, hey, let's go to the dining commons and eat dinner together because we haven't seen each other in 3 weeks, and apparently we're friends. And like if you can't do that, which you have to eat dinner, like right. I know you're gonna be there, and that like respect and trust was broken so quickly because like they would be there with other people, and it's just like, you can just tell me, like I won't be upset. I'm more upset by the fact that then I go and you're with other people. And And that was really hard because I wanted to maintain that friendship. Like, I'm the type of person that will still try to be friends with you, even if you're like kicking me out of your car.
Right.
So that was really hard. And I just had to get to the point where I was like, this is unhealthy for me. And I can't hold on to this friendship because they don't want to. So I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but it got to a point where it was like too draining. And like more of my energy was being focused on fixing something that wasn't going to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had relationships like that too. I had one friendship he's a pretty good friend of mine. But the respect aspect of it wasn't there. It was, he didn't agree with my beliefs. And so we would have conversations about it and I would hear his side of it. But as soon as I would bring anything about my side, it was like, oh, I don't want to listen to that because I don't agree. And so that was just this lack of respect for each other. Or
Right.
mostly I would respect his thoughts, but he just wouldn't want to respect mine. And so in that instance, it was kind of a relationship that I wasn't sure that I really wanted to pour a lot into because there was that lack of respect for me. And so what ended up happening was we just slowly kind of drifted apart, and then I don't really see him anymore at this point. But yeah, I talk to him once in a while, but it's again just that idea that like if you can't respect somebody for their beliefs and hear their side of things, then it's hard to.
I feel like you're almost both saying, like, if they don't reciprocate, then, like, distance is just, you create distance in the relationship for the sake of both of you and your sanity.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm a big believer in reciprocity.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah.
I heard an example one time of, like, everybody's life is a circle, and there's, like, other circles around that. So you get to decide who are your closest friends. That's your inner circle. Almost like if this table was, like, your life, like, the bowl with the like, little heart things in the middle, that's like your closest friends. And then there's a plate and then there's a table, and like you get to decide where you want to put your friends.
For sure.
And like if they're not trustworthy and they don't respect you, they shouldn't be in the center of your friend circle. They should be somewhere out here, like further out, because that's not a person that you want speaking into your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I feel like a lot of people are really afraid of losing friends, but it's okay. Like, I remember in middle school and high school, there was some friendships that I was like, I feel like I can't lose them because, like, I want to have this amount of friends. Or, like, I want my prom group to be, like, this big. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, I just kept those people in my life for no reason. Like, they weren't doing good. They weren't helping me, or I wasn't helping them. Like, we weren't helping each other grow. We were just hurting each other.
For sure.
And I should have just been more okay with being like, this is not a healthy relationship. Like, let's just, like, cut it, and we would have been fine. And you know what? It's fine now. Like,
Exactly.
Isn't that funny how maybe it's just me, but it sounds like it's you too, Allie, like how often we choose our friends or our dating relationships based on what we think we want other people to see about us. Like rather than what actually is like good for us, what God wants for us, or even what makes us happy, we're choosing based on like when they look at me, are they going to think, oh, Allie and Andrew, they have it together because they're dating this person or because this is their friend group. Like that's so like backwards to think about that.
Yeah.
But we all like I do that all the time.
yeah,
For sure.
that was like my whole high school experience. I feel like
Right.
I was like, oh, I need to go to prom with this person, even if I'm going to be miserable.
Right.
Like, I need
It's
to have,
what I need to do.
yeah, I need to have a date for this.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
And that's like it's all just like motivations. Like we're motivated by how other people see us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a healthy way to like live your life.
Yeah.
To be motivated about what other people think about you.
Yeah. And I don't know,
Exactly.
like, how do you shift that?
It's a great question.
I'm asking this for myself.
See, it's funny because very similar to me is I had relationships in my life that like weren't benefiting me at all, and we weren't benefiting each other. And I guess one thing that came out of COVID was there was that separation for so long from them that like when we were back into things, we just stopped hanging out. And so I'll see him and we're still like nice to each other and we're still friends. But like that was almost this time of like where I reflected on that and I realized that this is not what I need. And so I feel like coming out of that really opened up my eyes to like, hey, if relationships in my life if we're not benefiting each other in this, if we're just doing things just to, look cool or to be with each other, is it really worth our time to do that? And again, it's still okay to be friends with people or like acquaintances with them, but And I know that didn't answer your question that you asked, but
It's okay.
I
I'll figure it out one day.
I feel like so much of it's just like, where's your identity at? You know, like, dude, if your identity is in what other people see in you, that's going to be a big problem because other people, you can't control them.
Yeah.
But like, as a follower of Jesus, my identity is in what God said about me. And he called me a masterpiece, and he said that I'm his. And if God's for me, who can be against me? And those things are all true, not because of anything about me or about other people. It's just because of who God is, and God does not change. So if that's what you can remember and believe, then like you can make friends with new people and maybe lose friends, but add new friends. And none of it really is going to change who you are because your identity is in Christ.
Exactly.
But it's easy to forget that too.
Yeah. I think that is hard to sometimes remember if it's not like super rooted. So one of the other pillars of a relationship that I feel like everybody would probably say that stuff is built on is wisdom. And one of the best places that we get wisdom is from the Bible, obviously. But I think one of the things that a lot of people who are older and they like look back at relationships, one of the things that they say is just like having healthy boundaries. And I would say that's pretty huge in any type of relationship. So what are some like good, healthy boundaries that you guys have set in friendships or in dating relationships or other options that I can't think of?
Yeah. I think for me, in friendships and in relationships, I think as far as friendships go, I think it's setting that boundary of like when it's okay for them to speak into certain things in my life.
Right.
Because there is times where I need a friend to like be like, hey, you're being stupid. Stop doing that, right? But there's other times where I don't necessarily want to hear like their opinion on it. And so I have great friendships where we kind of understand that. And I think as far as like my the dating relationship goes, and you and I kind of had conversations about this earlier, but I think setting boundaries in your dating relationships is huge.
Yeah, it's so important.
Especially if you're like us, right? Like I love hugs, right? I love the like I'm always like anytime I'm at home, I'm like going to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I need a hug, right?
Right, like physical touch.
Physical touch, right?
Yeah.
I love it. And so in that instance, like I need to set that boundary with myself in my dating relationship of saying, hey, I know this is a thing about me, and so I need to set the boundary of we're gonna watch what we're doing, right? But
yeah, someone gave me the picture of like guardrails years ago, and that's been so helpful when I think about boundaries, because a boundary can feel like bad. Like, it can feel bad. It can feel restrictive. It's like, oh, it's keeping me from something that I want. But if you think about it like a guardrail, like the boundary is designed to protect you from danger. And like if you like think of a road, the guardrail isn't put up at the bottom of a cliff. It's at the top of the cliff, so that if you bounce into it, you stay on the road and you don't fall off the cliff. And that's the way that boundaries are designed for friendships or dating relationships in particular. Like, you put a boundary for yourself in a safe place before you decide to do something that you're going to regret later, something that would be a sin. And that keeps you from falling off the edge. And so like for me in dating relationships, it's been like putting boundaries in places that you're like, oh, but like it wouldn't be a sin to do that, but it's going to keep you from that. And it's just like smart, like not being alone in a dark parked car together if you're dating. Like that'd be stupid. Not necessarily a sin, but it's probably not going to lead you where you want to go.
Yeah.
Not chilling in their room with the door closed, you know, like not being on their bed. These are just like smart things. And if you're in high school, frankly, this is Adam's advice. If you're a boy and in high school, I'll start with girls. If you're a girl in high school, dating probably just a waste of your time. And if you're a boy, dating a waste of your time and your money. So I just wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. But also, like, if you are going to do it, be really careful, because the boundaries like that you set there, those go off into the future. Like, it will probably be years before you guys ever get married. And if it's going to be years, like, are you prepared for that? Are you ready for years of dating? I don't know.
Yeah. I think, so it's interesting that you guys talked about, like, physical touch. And one, like, my top love language is quality time. So, like, if I want to hang out with my friends, it's, like, all or nothing. It's, like, a 12-hour day, or I don't text them for a week. Like, that's, and that's in everything. Like, if I like a guy, we're going to hang out for 8 hours, or I will not text you for a week. So, like, it's super hard because, like I'm an in-person person.
Right.
Which means that boundaries for me are just like, I need to protect myself. If I like someone, I need to not drop all my other friends because I'm going to hang out with them. Yeah. And I think that was a super hard thing for me to learn, because there was times where I was just like, no, I'm going to hang out with them because that's like what I'm investing my time into right now. But a lot of my other friends, the reason why we're friends is they also love quality time. Like they want to do the 12-hour days where maybe we just sit on a couch and watch TikTok all day, but like we're with each other. So that was one of the things, like a huge learning curve that I had to kind of figure out of, it's basically like the same thing. Like I need to know that if I want to do something with someone, that I almost need to like put it in my calendar to do something with someone the next day.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Saturdays are for this person, Sundays are for this person, Fridays are for this person. If I'm not doing anything Wednesday night, they can come hang out with me.
Right. And that's the same like guardrails concept of like, it wouldn't be wrong to like spend time with them every single day, but it helps you. It puts you in a safe place by putting that guardrail up and letting them know where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to jump off of that too is like, that's something that me and my girlfriend had to put in place in our relationship, because growing up, I saw so many of my friends or like people I was close with, would get into a relationship and just like drop off the face of the earth, and you had no idea like where they were, when you were going to see them again, anything. And I realized that wasn't something I wanted to do, because I value my friendships too. And so when we started dating, I said, listen, like I can't spend every day with you. Like I want to have quality time. I want to do things with you, but there's going to be days where I'm going to be doing things with my friends.
Yeah.
There's going to be things that we go do together because I value that relationship as much as I value our relationship. And so setting that boundary of like, hey, this is what I'm expecting from it, and not feeling bad about it either. And that's the great thing, is when you can have that open communication with each other, you don't have to feel bad about setting that type of boundary with each other.
That's so healthy. And probably if your girlfriend wasn't on board with that would have been a red flag to you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like your friendships like matter. And
exactly.
like if you're dating someone, they should be excited about you having good friends.
Yep.
And wanting to like keep those relationships going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like a big red flag is if they don't have any other friends.
Facts.
What's going on?
Facts.
What you doing out there?
So what are, maybe these aren't boundaries that you guys have in place, but like what are some really healthy boundaries that you wish that you had in relationships? Or like if you could go back and tell high school or middle school Andrew and Adam, you're not the same human, what would you tell them?
In dating particular, or friendships, both, whatever.
All of the above.
Well, I think I already said a lot of, I just kind of started going off. But like, honestly, like middle school, would not recommend dating. High school, really, really highly recommend against it. And I would tell myself that, like, that's a boundary that you can put in your whole life, because like, as I think about dating, like you're seeking to find the type of person you want to marry or the person that you want to marry. And to me, like, that end of that road isn't going to happen for a while if you're in high school. Or middle school, it's going to be a very long time. And so like one boundary you can do is just like, I'm not going to date anyone until like I'm ready to start thinking about marriage, whenever that time might be. And then that's just a conversation you can have with everyone and anyone. Like, yeah, I'm not going to date because I'm just going to focus on like myself right now, becoming closer to God and making great friendships. And I can still be friends with girls and like we can hang out and do stuff, but like I'm just not going to date. That's one boundary that I would recommend to myself in that time.
Yeah. I would tell myself, like, if I could talk to myself in early high school, like late middle school, I'd be like, dude, chill out. Because I think my thing was, so when growing up, my parents put the rule in place of like, hey, you can't date until you're 16, right? After you're 16, like, then you can start dating. And to me, when I was younger, it was almost like I was upset by that. I was like, no, this is stupid. Like, why would you, I don't want to do that. And so it almost made me like feel like rebellious, right? And like talk to girls and almost like be in that thing of like dating, even though when you're in middle school, like, is it really, you can't drive, you can't do anything. But it made me like want to do that. And so looking back, I'm like, dude, you should just chill out. Like, dating somebody isn't the finish line.
Yeah,
right?
That's so good.
When you date somebody, when you get in a relationship, that is not the finish line, right? It's not like, oh, I've arrived, because you're probably going to get hurt. You're probably going to work through things. There's going to be a lot that comes up in that. And so just relaxing and getting through it. And yeah, not dating in middle school. I think early in high school, don't date. I started dating my senior year of high school, so I was a little bit more, I guess, I was almost graduated, but I still started dating in high school. So I didn't listen to Adam.
I wish I'd been there for you. Andy.
I know. Well, we're still together, so
That's
how it worked out.
You're right. Never mind. It worked out. So
Yeah, you're fine. I think I would go back and just say, like, don't waste your time. Like, I think I spent a lot of time, especially, like, in high school. Like, I would text people or I would FaceTime people all the time. We are not dating. We never dated.
Yep.
Why did I do that? I would ask people about sports. I went to sporting games. Wow. I like sports. I went to, like, sporting events I don't care about. Why did I do that? Like
for like a boy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's stupid.
dedication.
Like, I went to, like, lacrosse games. I don't like lacrosse. It's just like field hockey in the air. I much prefer to watch field hockey.
But you liked Cody, and he was on the team.
I was like, who's Cody?
I'm just guessing. Lax pro name. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Cody.
Yeah. So I think, like, I just wasted my time on, like, relationships that I think I knew weren't gonna work out.
Right. But at the time, doesn't it
Yeah.
feel so, like, all-encompassing and big? You're like, this person is so hot, and I just love being around them, and they make me feel so good. But you're not thinking about, like, the long term.
Yeah.
You're literally just thinking about how it feels at the moment.
Yeah. It's a great regret. Yeah. Don't ever go to a lacrosse game if you don't want to. That's the truth.
Clip that right there, baby.
I just want to jump off what you said, because you said, it's that feeling of, like, oh, this person makes me feel so great.
Yeah.
But it's funny too, because we do that, right? We're like, oh, I waste my time going to these things. This person makes me feel great, and then it doesn't work out. And then what do? We do it again, right? Because we didn't learn from the first time. And so it's almost like another thing is like, listen, learn from the first time.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It was a waste of time. You felt great, and then you realized, man, this person is really not that great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you decide, like, oh, I should try one more time. And you just keep doing it.
And also, that's just, like, a fundamental, like, misunderstanding about relationships. Like, you shouldn't be entering a friendship or a dating relationship thinking, what am I going to get out of this?
Exactly.
But so often we do, like, they make me feel really good. I like the way other people look at us when we're together, so I'm going to be around them. That's, like, a very selfish way to think about relationships.
Sure.
Instead of that, you should be thinking, what can I give? What do I have to offer to this person? How can I help them? What can I do to, like, make their life better? That's going to just make everybody's life better all around if you consider dating in that way, if you consider friendship in that way. Honestly, you should think about your family relationships that way. What do I have to offer? What can I do to make their life better?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, that is kind of what we're talking about next week. So you did a segue without even knowing it.
True.
So
let's go.
Wow, really proud.
Good job.
My boy.
So make sure you guys tune in next time. We're going to continue this conversation about relationships and just dive deeper into the topic. So make sure you tune in next time.